All right, so we've done zoom, we've done focus, we've done iris. We're going to combine them together and pull off some effects. And this effects is called the depth of field. And this is basically a range of distance along the z-axis where things are in focus. And you can use depth of field to your advantage pretty well. So when you have something that is a narrow or a shallow depth of field, that means there's only a short area that's going to be in focus. So in this top one, we have a very narrow depth of field where everything in front of the camera is going to be blurry. Everything beyond your subject is blurry. Now, likewise, if you have a wide or a deep depth of field, a lot more stuff is going to be in focus. So when I look at these bottom two, I can see from these three archers, the far archer is out of focus, the near archer is out of focus, but the one in the middle is in clear focus. So this tells me I have a narrow depth of field, as opposed to the other one where I can see all three of them in pretty good clarity. This tells me that I have a wider depth of field. And the depth of field is going to be a combination of an iris, an angle, and that's going to, when you have a wide iris, an open iris, and a wide angle, that's going to give you a narrow depth of field. Likewise, if you close the iris to let in less light, and you do a long angle in your zoom, that's going to give you a wider depth of field. So that gives you the ability to change. So the depth of field is basically being controlled by the iris and the zoom to kind of give you ability to set the focus if you want something narrow or if you want something wider to do your shot. Now here's a couple examples of depth of field. So in this upper left I've got a dog and the entire dog's head is in really good focus from the top of the head to the nose. So this tells me that I have a good wide depth of field. Now on the one below it, I have a very narrow, because you can tell how close his eyes are together, and I can go from focus to blurriness, so that's a very narrow depth of field. Likewise with the baby, I've got his entire head and his entire face, whereas with the dog, now from one ear to the other is blurry, but in between them, that is in focus. So that's going to be a very narrow depth of field on that. So by using the depth of field, you have the ability to help draw attention to what you want in your shot. And you can even use to kind of blur out the background or blur out something that's not really applying to the media or the subject that you have at hand that you want people to see. So that is depth of field.